Okay, great. So, like, let's just jump right back into what we were doing yesterday's quick recap. I really feel like the setup that we're going to do, something for like Biogen, something like the Hyundai, we can do a very basic setup that at least gets you going, and you could at least do some drawing and placing of fixtures in about half an hour, maybe an hour. Yesterday was a little cumbersome simply just because of model size. Grab my agenda here. But let's all start a new project based upon the template. R pull down, new, I'm going to do a project, browse for the right template. Okay, let's link in files from the Insert tab. We're going to, my apologies, you have to first go to a floor plan. That initial splash screen is what's called a legend. You can't bring any architectural data into that. Level 1 architecture, link Revit. Let's do the Biogen building. Just because I was using that one last night, I know it's working properly. And let's go to Biogen links folder, and we'll just do the architecture CS. Okay, this file has light fixtures already in it. This was interesting. Yeah, were they fixtures that you all had placed?
I have to look on this.
Okay. It's in the they're native to the architectural model.
I don't, not on this one because it's probably support spaces that we didn't do.
Okay, got it. Right, I think it looked like on the ground floor they had all the corridors done. There was a lot of work, but it was funny. It was a text tag. It wasn't a live tag. I thought.
Another thing that we need, that I know that Robin and I are curious about, is how ceiling heights are tagged when it crosses multiple floors, and so that it just doesn't say, if it's a double height space, that doesn't say it's 9 feet.
Yes.
Because it's really not.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's a lie. It's clearly a lie.
Okay. Well, already, if you're opening up your architectural floor plan, it's behaving a bit better. This is a greatly tribute to, I think, some of our issues yesterday was the shared coordinate system. It wasn't coming in a good place, and therefore it's hard for the computer to read where it's cutting. So immediately, if we go to a ceiling plan, the default one that we have made up, we should see a series of ceilings that are already in place. In this case, the architect has light fixtures. And maybe that's correct, Brendan. Is that just a...
Yeah, this is the engineers
Okay.
stuff. This isn't stuff we did.
So that was like back of house and support that was done. Perfect. We're going to use this. Will be a good one for us to use. From here, we're seeing a lot of reference planes. We're seeing a lot of things that kind of muddy up the view. Variety of things that we could do. We could either turn off reference planes in these views, start to figure out after reading the architectural file what needs to be taken out of it and cleaned up if it's hard to see. In this case, I don't think it's too bad. So remember one of the first things that we did, we actually pinned the model down. That was something I skipped over yesterday, and something that we need to do whenever we bring in a project like this. Select it. As soon as you select it, pin ability. Up here, we click pin. Just locks it into place. We can't move it. Right? Okay, let's say, I like this, you were mentioning spot coordinates. Because often you get a plan, and you're sitting there, as we were yesterday with the courthouse, trying to figure out what level is, you know, you're opening a project for the first time, what is where? You know, where are the ceilings? What heights are they at? So you can zoom into really any region. Let's zoom into this area that the engineer has already worked on. And go to your Annotate tab. And there are spot elevations. Okay? There are spot elevations. Click spot elevation. This is where you're going to determine whether or not it's coming from base level, so this whole issue of an atrium. You can change the relative base. And mine's grayed out here. Because I don't have enough levels in the project yet. That's probably the culprit. But that's what you'll want to change. You'll say, okay, yeah, if I know I have an 18-foot tall space is spanning several levels in the model, this is where you change that.
But you have to know that in order.
You have to know that. Yeah, and I guess this is the thing. You can go around with these spot elevations and do a bit of digging. So in this case, I'm going to drop a few. And what I normally do is, before I start drawing them, I take off leader and shoulder automatically goes off. All it's saying is it's just going to add a leader. Certainly doesn't hurt to drop a few of these around. And it's a double-click process. Okay, we're seeing it. And then, of course, what we want to do is, it doesn't really matter which one you do first, but let's also see how the architect is seeing it in their RCP. Anyone remember that step? Yeah, you want to see this RCP how the architect is probably seeing it, right? So you don't have to worry about saying if you're cut planes or anything like that.
Go to the Revit.
Yep. EG. Yep. Exactly. And change it from by host view to by linked view. And at that same time, this drop-down menu, you have to select a reference plan that you want to use as your reference point. In this case, let's go down and see if we can see a reflected ceiling plan, level 1. This is the kind of thing we were looking for yesterday in the courthouse, just something so clear as level 1 RCP. Here it is. They have several types. They have one for SD. I believe the level 1. We'll do it, or the SD also is a good one. Actually, let's do the reflected ceiling plan level 1 SD. Okay. So a lot more fixtures in there. That's probably due to a series of work sets that are open or that they're being controlled by. Some of this stuff is stuff that we've done actually. Oh, okay.
There's stuff over here we've done.
Great. So they actually had incorporated your work, and that's actually one thing we'll want to talk about is workflow. As so many different methods of workflow right now, how they're incorporating it, copying and pasting, or copy monitoring. And that's one thing you can copy monitor if an architect has already started a lighting plan. You can either, there's two things you'll have to do. You'll have to ask them to strip out their light fixtures, like in this case. Let's say they had already started some lighting. They would have to either strip them out, or you could copy monitor those light fixtures, just like we're doing with levels, right? And at that point, kind of take them over to a degree. I'll show you how to do that here in just a moment. Let's jump back to the next step, creating copy monitoring the levels, because we need to set up plan views for each and every level, right? Okay. Okay, so in to set up and copy monitor those levels, right? We need a plan cut at every level, just as the architect has. How do we do that? Got it. Yep. Cut a section. Go to your View tab. You can cut a section and/or elevation. I like to do a section because it is pointable. Right-click on that section. Go to View. There we are. Already the model is substantially lighter, I think, too. It's a little bit better file to use. We're going to go to our Collaborate tab, Copy Monitor, select Link. Select the architectural file. Okay. And we're going to hit Copy. We aren't going to do batch copy. We'll hit Copy. And let's select each level. Wow. When we're done, don't forget to hit Finish. Like Robin yesterday, I've stayed in Copy Monitor for a lot of time before, and then I've gone and done other tasks, and it's definitely funny. Okay, so now that we have those levels set up, right, we can go ahead and make all of our plan views. How do we make plan views of all of those levels? We go to our View tab, Plan Views fly down, Reflected Ceiling Plan, and I'm just going to grab levels 1 through 6 for the time being. Remember, you can always come back here and make more plan views. You're not limited to what you just created right there. If you want to make 100 copies of level 1, you could. And you do it through that method. There's a checkbox for do not duplicate existing views. You would just uncheck that. Okay, so we've created all of those floor plans. And remember, our browser's being sorted by usage. Remember, design, documentation, or export, or however you end up setting that up, we need to go tell those views what they are. See all the question marks that are up at the top of the project browser? Simply because they don't know what kind of view they're supposed to be. They know that they're ceiling plans, but they don't know exactly the type, or rather the view usage. So here we go in Properties, View Usage. We're going to make these all for just design for the time being. Apply. I'm going to delete my original item with furniture. Okay. Oh yeah, and then you get into it. Yeah, or get copy rather than monitor. Yeah, it's not immediately apparent when you're selecting. I've had the same problem before.
Can I also, do you have to have all views of it closed in order to delete a plan?
No, it can even be open,
Well, okay.
but you just can't have. You have to have some minimally one view open for a project to be open. You can't go down to 0 views. But yes, that's correct. You can do. Um, um, you can delete it while it's even open, and that's exactly what I did. Is I took the default view for level 1 and made it go away. So the reason we're seeing significantly more light fixtures when we change over to the architect's other plan is that they have work sets in place, and we're going to touch on that today and see how that works. But work sets in some ways are like layers. They can be used like layers, and you can use them for phasing and for different aspects of the project. I'm sure that they have the back of house light fixtures on one work set and the others front of house and high finished spaces on another. And that's why we're seeing that. You can control visibility of the model that way. Okay, so this level 1 ceiling plan, because it is a new view, I need to go back through that process of Revit links, going by host view, and doing a by linked view. Reflected ceiling plan. To do that level 1 SD. Let's just zoom into, I did a ZR for zoom region. And this is nice. We're seeing ceiling heights, we're seeing their annotation, all of those things. And if this was a floor plan that did not have, or a ceiling plan that did not have lights in it already, we'd be ready to do our work, right? Let's test and make sure that we are indeed ready to do our work. That's the first thing, is that we're going to want to. It's very interesting. Here's Revit links. Let's just go take a look. If you're not seeing the ceilings and the light fixtures are there, it's definitely a VG thing. So unfortunately, you have to drill in and go dig deep into that linked file. So we go into VG, linked model display. It's by linked view, but you can make it custom. This is an added layer of control. It bases it on that reflected ceiling plan, right? But let's go into our model categories of that reflected ceiling plan. Rather than being by linked view, we're going to make that custom. Let's go down to ceilings. We may have to check show all categories from disciplines. Ceilings should be on.
Then what does it mean when you're not allowed to half-tone it or make it transparent or detail level?
Yeah, it's strange. That means it's if there's a block in there and not having that control, halftone's not available?
No.
No. Wow.
So I wonder if that's an indication of it.
Well, in the master category, it is, right? It's just not.
In the master category, right?
Right.
There's a checkbox for it, correct? Okay. Some model categories just don't have the same amount of control. And I don't think it's just in the linked. It's a good question. To follow that up. I'm going to go to my manage, and I'm just going to see maybe if the halftoning is the culprit. I'm not seeing any of those ceilings. Doing a, for some reason this mouse, when I do a middle mouse wheel and push down, it Goes into the 4 on my open screens rather than a pan.
Yeah, it's a mount. It's probably the side button of the mouse.
Oh, okay.
Or, yeah, a function of the mouse.
Oh well, that's okay. Okay, let's pull our section in and see maybe if we can see those ceilings. Forgive me, I'll be jumping around on the video because I'm having to do zoom region and all this. So what do we have? Tab through. They're gyp ceilings. Oh, great, thank you. Yeah, great. So they're gyp ceilings. Maybe we're not seeing any patterning. Well, we'll go find a one with a grid. One in the lobby, elevator lobbies, or
Sorry, over here. This should be a grid ceiling.
That should be a grid.
And this, there should be a floating grid ceiling here. It doesn't go to the wall. It floats in the center.
interesting.
This room has a grid ceiling. Yeah, this is.
And that's the outline of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and there it is. Okay. I just typed wireframe to see through. There's something in the way of us seeing that. I'm not sure. Oh, right. I found our 4x4 ACT. Very strange.
Did you change where you cut through?
I did not. I just inherited the architect's RCP.
So I
Then-
don't see things like
Right. And I would say the same, that it's not quite what you would want to see in a typical RCP, of course. So let's do a bit more digging. That's really what it comes down to, is that maybe we have not found the right view. Let's go back to VG. Revit links. Display settings. Let's change it back to being by linked view. Let's say that we trust them that they have the correct view set up for this somewhere. And let's try one of these other east or west. One thing that we're going to do today too is how you set up scope boxes for a large project. Let's try reflected ceiling plan level 1, east or west, either one. So maybe if we have a little bit better luck there. Still not seeing doors like we should. So we still don't have the right view to reference. And ultimately, this is the digging you'll need to do. It may require a phone call saying, look, which RCP plan view can we rely on to start working in? That's not the right one either.
So do we inherit? We get all their views. When we link it, we get all their views
Exactly.
they have set up.
Correct. So as long as their views are set up properly, you shouldn't have any trouble just inheriting their view, working right in that. Well, displaying their model in the way that they're seeing it. It's just like Michael was saying yesterday. We want an RCP as they're seeing it. We just want to start working in an RCP, right? So that really is what it comes down to. Undoing a few times here. And their RCP here maybe has a different cut plane, but let's do a few setups on the other floors and not get too caught up on level 1 alone. Let's do level 2. Jump up there and see what we can find. Again, we're going to go into VG. Let's do Revit links. We'll make it by linked view, and we'll do reflected ceiling plan level 2. What do we have here? Immediately, my first instinct would be to go in and do some spot elevations. Go find what we're looking at. Relative current level. Is level 2 a mezzanine level or something that's very tall? In spot elevations.
In the lower, in this corner, yes. In the rest of the building, no.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why these are high. Maybe level 3 is a better example? Just for a standard regular floor plate? VG.
Yeah, there won't be, since we don't have the tenant interior file linked in, there won't be any, except for the bathrooms and stuff, there shouldn't be.
Any other things? Okay. Well, let's link that other file then in too at the same time. Maybe that will help us see it. So let's, that's a good point. You always have to check and see, maybe I don't have all of the contributing files. That's one of the other issues, is that you may not have structure, you may not have all the same files that the architect is looking at. Make sure you check on that. Let's link that in just to check. We're going to go, do we have it available?
Yeah, but actually I wonder if it's the shelf, I bet the file that we're using right now is just this, is there's 5B arc shell dash core.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, the second one.
No, you have to do it every time. Let's see if the shared coordinates does work on this one.
Yeah, question. Maybe you just asked this, but focus for a second. Did you just ask if you didn't import the first one by shared coordinates? Happens. I was just wondering if you didn't Oh.
Yeah,
So what
I
if
wish
we
you
didn't
could.
do the first one? Can we do the second one and we'll line up?
Fine, yeah, we can do it.
And can you change what coordinates it relies on after you've already imported it?
You can.
Okay.
Yes, you can. Actually, we'll go through that process. We'll unpin the other one just in case it needs to move. But already, do you see they're behaving a bit better? I mean, obviously we're not getting all of the data, but I think the model's a little bit faster. That all being said, you're going to get some really difficult models, and the courthouse is no exception.
Yeah, because I didn't import the
Okay. Yeah, this will be a good exercise. Okay. Yeah, I mean that laundry list of missing models when you open or you import rather, there's a lot of different missing pieces, and you just need to be conscious of that. Okay.
They're off by a smidgen.
Off by a smidgen. Okay.
Technical term.
Okay. So two ways that you can handle this. If it's very obvious, you can move them manually, but like we said yesterday, rule of thumb is make sure that the shared coordinates are set up in the architecture file so that they insert properly. Okay? What we do is let's select our first model that we brought in. I'm thinking that is the exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. Okay. So the one that is pinned, that original Arch CS RVT. Notice when you click on it in the properties, what comes up? Being not shared or shared. It's a shared, let's click shared. Okay. This dialog box, basically it's saying, okay, I can either take my current coordinate system of my project and publish it to that file, or I can acquire the coordinate system from that linked file. You always want to acquire it. Okay? So hit acquire the coordinate shared coordinate system of 225 Arch CS RVT and hit reconcile. Now we select the other file and shared site. We'll click that. We need to move that instance. Other process, this is why the architect needs to do it. They would need to open the file and publish those coordinates to that file. Let's just, for the sake of this, move it manually. Not the right thing to do.
What did you put
In the,
move instance to?
I actually exited out of that dialog box. Yeah, it would ultimately need to be set up by them. Once they're in the right place, and you say, okay, record position. Once it's properly placed, the architect will do this. You don't have to worry about it. Record current position of that file. We'll hit OK. Then they are forever linked together as those locations. Their origins are the same. You won't have to worry about this ever again. It's funny though. I mean, this is one of the inherent things that we see a lot of firms plowing forward with Revit, but they're not getting things like this right. And that's
is this them or is this us? For instance, I didn't the first time choose by shared coordinates.
because they don't have it going. They didn't have the system of shared
I
coordinates.
did, and it said
And you're still
nothing there. We're going to default to auto 7%.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, I didn't. I just forgot to do it.
Yeah, and so it should be standard practice. They all should be doing it. So notice now though that when I click on one of the links, what I get, this shared site, it's internal. So it's not that this project is defining the coordinates, but there is an internal system of common origin, common coordinate system for these two models as they're brought in. So now you know that they lay in the same place. And once you know that, you can also pin that other project in place.
You pin it in one view, is it pinned in all views?
Pinned in all views. Yeah. Yeah, it's let's just call it like a global
Pin.
pinning. Yes, it will do it for all. I'm going to go down to level 1 and see if anything is acting a little bit better. It's not carrying any of the other architectural information. So, any other of the models that it could be coming in with? Is there?
It's part of the ceiling's part of the CS.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm looking at the architectural and trying to match it.
Let's go to VG. It has to be a VG issue. If the model date is there, it has to be a
Well, the only
VG
other,
thing.
in the architect's model, their view range is, the top is at the associated level at 16 feet, and their view depth is also the associated level at 16 feet. When I made that change, it didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, I mean, looks the same even with my view. So,
It's very strange. Are you thinking that it's not actually inheriting the same view?
it doesn't, what I was seeing, it doesn't inherit the view range. It takes the same properties of visibility graphics, but I haven't seen it take the view range.
It's on. It's going to take the work sets that are on, and this is a good question. It's going to take the work sets that are on, and it's also going to any kind of graphic overrides that are on, which sometimes if you have to go navigate a model that has lots of work sets, that really is a big help. But a cut plane and view range is specific to every view in Revit. Each and every one is different. So this is a good point. If we're having trouble seeing it, you occasionally need to go in and open up their view. But that's interesting. I would have thought that it is definitely taking their cut as well. So here we are in a ceiling plan. I'm going to apply default view template. Okay. If we go into our own view range controls, right? Part of the issue is that it's set to unlimited. So we see an awful lot above and below. That's the first thing that you would want to change for a ceiling plan. Seeing a few of their doors. Go to your view range in your properties. Hit edit. I'm in level 1, by the way. Okay. Change your primary range in the top to be level above, and view depth level above to be also 2. Keep the cut plane at 7.6. Hit OK. It's funny, I'm here at the entry, I guess this primary entry. I'm actually picking up the I have the ACT, yeah, I have the ACT ceiling showing up now. For view range quickly. Oh, hit OK. It's do VG and set the linked view back to being shown as the host view. So VG, Revit links, I changed it back to host view quickly just to test this.
I just changed architectural and I didn't see ceilings.
Yeah.
We default as electrical. I think you should still see it in electrical.
You still should.
Don't though.
Yeah,
Goes
the
away.
key is that.
Oh, yeah, when you change to architectural.
Oh, yeah.
I think that I've typically done in coordination also.
Ah, there it is.
Coordination shows everything.
Coordination will show you everything. Yeah, it's particularly strange that you don't see those things for electrical because obviously everyone. Thanks for picking up on that because that's something I didn't realize was in there. That one thing that we'll need to do is apply view template for a ceiling plan.
Well, it's in electrical, too, it's just not in, we're in mechanical.
I was in electrical.
I had electrical.
I was in mechanical, but it shows up in electrical for me.
What you do is you have to go to your R pull down options and change your default templating to electrical. There's no way to change the default discipline though, always to architectural. Okay, see, so I grabbed all of these ceiling plans at one time, and I'm going to apply a view template. This ceiling plan, changing that discipline to architectural. And one quick time saver that you can do too is this apply automatically to new views of the same type. This checkbox. After that, you're good. There we go. Thank you for pointing that out. That is something that is a little bit of an annoyance with MEP, is that you have these disciplines. Yes, you're defaulting to electrical, but then this sub-discipline, or I guess it is the sub-discipline. No, in this case, it is the actual disciplines guiding some of the graphics, and there's no way to control those otherwise. But there you are. So from all, I guess if you are just doing this, make sure that your ceiling plan template, view template, is set up properly. Let me just run through that one more time. Right click on a ceiling plan. You'll want to make sure that you have it set to architectural for discipline.
Right click on the ceiling plan?
Right click on a ceiling plan.
Yep.
And then you hit apply view template.
But do I have to create a view template?
No, there already is one in there. Ceiling plan. Scroll down to your discipline, change that to architectural. I have not included any of the VG overrides in that template control, only because remember, if we have our linked models coming in, and we're having the models display how the architect has them.
So you uncheck.
I unchecked those, exactly.
Just the VG override.
Just the VG overrides. Now I'm doing discipline architectural.
But so view range wouldn't make sense to try and standardize that here.
No, because each view is different. Each view has its own view range. You can't
Only
control.
set it to like level above.
Well, it's interesting. I'm saying that you can come here and you can do some minimal things. You're exactly right. Level above, and then always have the cut plane at 7.6. That's correct. You can do that here. And I guess for a variety of levels, that's why there's not a lot of specificity there. But you're exactly right. You can at least do that to some of them.
And this view template, is this something that we should or can set up universally? Or is this something that... So I guess this view template is part of the HLB.
Part of the HLB template. And actually, we'll make sure that we update the template so that every time you make a new ceiling plan, that discipline's set to architectural. Okay, so there we are. We're seeing all of our doors. Perfect.
But then applying that to another level, it doesn't seem to take the changes.
Okay, so if we go up to level 2, Right click, apply view template, ceiling plan. Is there a fit out plan maybe that we're missing?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. So it did. And Michael, did you see how you can batch apply? From the project browser, you select one of those ceiling plans and you use Control or Shift. You right click and you apply view template all in one shot. Yeah.
Level 4, the bathroom ceiling. Well, one of the bathrooms.
Yeah, there's multiple walls on top of other walls, so
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
let's.
The 2 core shelf out.
Okay, well, I think we're in relatively good shape. Okay, so next thing you'd want to do is cartooning out your views. You know, and we were talking last night at dinner about, okay, do we have, or maybe it was a little bit before, saying, do we have one person who goes in and sets all of these up, or does it need to be someone who's a little more intimately involved with the project? Well, first of all, you want to test how big of a view can you get onto a sheet. I guess your general output, say if you're doing a layout, are you sending 24 by 36 prints, or what is normally your output to someone?
I think it depends on the project.
Okay.
And, typically we don't like to go, well, at least in our office, we don't like to go larger than 8-inch scale.
Okay.
Whatever paper size we need.
Okay. So it can be, you'll do a 36 by 48 if you have to. Okay. Got it. Well, let's see if this fits on a 24 by 36 sheet. I noticed that the architect it definitely won't. I noticed the architect had split it up into two different sides, and maybe that fits. What do you remember? What sheet size you had?
I think there were 36 by 48.
Okay, so they're big sheets. Let's take level. Let's just stay here in level 2. We're going to do something called a scope box. Okay, and a scope box really is exactly what it says. It is a bounding element that is nice that you can use it from floor to floor to floor. That says, okay, I am going to only show what's in this relative scope. It's nice because for a large project, you can break up a project into smaller pieces. So off of your View tab, we'll go to Scope Box, and it's like drawing a rectangle, upper left to lower right, and we'll overlap somewhere here in the middle. We'll do 2 of these. One Scope Box. You can name it while you're working on it. In this case, I'm going to call this West. We'll do another Scope Box that will be East with slight overlap. Okay. To get these 2 plans separated out, remember the parent view and child view concept I was talking about yesterday? Right click on level 2, and we're going to hit duplicate view and duplicate as dependent. Duplicate as dependent. Depending on level 2, I'm going to rename that immediately. East. And I'm going to duplicate as dependent again. I'm going to make a West. The East and the West, always battling. Who's better, right? When you're in the view, remember when you haven't selected anything in a view, the properties bar shows the properties of that view. It shows the scale, it shows the shading, it shows all of those types of things. It also, if you go down, it allows you to control what scope box is determining the its definition. I'm in the east view. I'm going to apply the east scope box to the east view. So I'll do that through west one time. Hold on. Go to the west view. I'm in the child. I'm in the dependent view. I'm in west, and in the, sorry, I'm looking at this kind of obliquely. Scope box. There's a drop-down menu. When you've made scope boxes, it starts to make them available then to you from there. And we're going to make this west. Okay, so let's go see how this fits on a sheet. Oh, hit escape. Oh, your scale. Your scope box are doing each half. You're in west. Perfect. Oh, you have to hit escape. You can't be touching anything. Then you hit scope box. And it's currently defaults to none. I found that. Defaults to none. Found it? Yep. Okay, let's go try to fit this onto sheets, and we'll see what happens. As we're in this effort of a little bit of output and documentation and understanding how large the building is, let's open up a documentation sheet, this LT101. This is a 24 by 36 sheet. So to place a view on a sheet, it's as simple as just dragging it on. So you select the view, left click, hold it down, and you drag it onto the sheet. Let's give it a try. I'm going to try all of level 2. And we'll see how that fits. Level 2. ZE. Resume extents. It does not fit, obviously. So there are a few different things that we can do. You can change the scale or change the sheet size. Let's try to change our sheet size. Okay, the largest sheet that I have for HLD currently in the project is a 24 by 36.
Yes.
We'll get some other sizes, of
Yep.
course, for you. Yep. So you'll need, of course, larger sheets. But let's load a default title block out of Revit. It won't be HLB specific. We'll go to Insert.
So we can't scale this one, for instance?
You could, but if, yeah, you can actually select the view, and you can change the scale right here. You know, if we change it to 16th, it'll have it. Maybe then it fits. But then obviously you probably aren't doing your, it definitely fits, but then you aren't doing your, you won't be able to do most of your lighting work there.
And it
Obviously.
changes it both here as well as in the.
Correct, and the dependent views. Yeah.
I guess my question was, you can't change the scale of the sheet. You can't make the sheet bigger.
Oh.
You can't scale the sheet.
No, you can't. No, because it's a family.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That's right. So it also changed the scales of the dependent views, for better or worse. I think oftentimes what we see firms doing is we say, okay, sometimes we want to see the whole plan, right? And then we want to see the smaller pieces. I would say that it actually would make more sense to duplicate level 2. Just watch this for a moment. I'm going to call the level 2 with the duplicates. Level 2. I actually name a lot of my views this way. If I have dependents, I actually name it as such because level 2 dependence never gets put on a sheet. Only east and west is ever put on a sheet. Level 2 that I just duplicated will now become our official level 2. If you want to remove a view from a sheet, just click on it, hit delete. You have not heard anything by doing that. I'm going to drag level 2 on. There's our LT101. We're seeing the whole floor plate, which is good. Because I scaled the plan down, that's right. Our level 2 dependence view, let's change that back to being 8th.
When you duplicated that, did you duplicate?
I know, I just duplicated level 2, just straight. There you go. And so that, the dependence, here's the end goal. Doesn't quite still fit. Doesn't quite still fit, unfortunately. Yep.
Little notches around the catwalk.
Yeah.
Are intended for a
Are they depth
viewport.
points?
Yeah, they were intended for a viewport.
Okay.
So is there a way to have them on there without them printing?
Yes. Yeah, they can be an invisible line.
Other things are going on with them, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that that's something that we would need? I mean, at least these,
No.
maybe the outside boundaries, because it's helpful to maybe as important in this, because we're not scaling, we're
Yeah.
not, filling a box.
I would agree. It's not as critical. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's probably not as critical. The goal here being still not fitting, but as a project manager going through, you already start to realize, okay, we're gonna have to start using larger sheets. The challenges of how large the building is to fit it on paper is ultimately the thing that I think that you would learn through this process of cartooning. We won't go down into great detail here, but on the right, I have my sheet that shows the overall floor plan. And on the left, I have that dependent view. I have one of the halves. on another sheet. You create a new sheet by right-clicking on sheets in the project browser and fly out new sheet. And as you can see, all the title blocks that are loaded in there currently are shown as being available. If you don't see your title block that you're looking for here, there's a load button. You can do it right here. And we actually are going to go load a generic Revit title block. Hit load. We'll browse down to title blocks. And the largest they have a 34 by 44, which I've never used. Let's just do a 30 by 42. In your case, for HLB, you'll have all of your title blocks already in here. You won't have to worry about this. Yeah, they'll be there. Hit OK. Now, if you want to go change the other title blocks that are actually already in the project, simply go back to those sheet views, and in the properties, slide down, you can change the title block size. Now, the nice thing about Revit is that it prints to the title block's extents. It always will print to the title block's extent. So even if the title block is off-centered and changed from maybe other views, has different origins from other views, it will always go print to that title block extent, which is very helpful. So here we are on a 30 by 42, and it's just fitting. A little bit of cropping down and it will work. Okay. So there we are. Is that a common workflow for you? Where you show an overall floor? You probably aren't showing overall floor plates as much, but if you're working at 8, you always will have to break the building down into smaller views, correct? How were you doing that previously? In AutoCAD, you're just making viewports, right, off of a floor plan. Yeah. Here, you are going to use these scope boxes to help you do that. Thing is, you have to know how large is it going to be at 8th. If 8th is your terminant scale, I would say that that being your goal, you figure out whatever you can fit on a sheet at 8th is really the big thing that you need to do first.
And does it print box around?
It does not. It does not. That is called the crop region. Crop region is visible by default in every view. Now, you can also work within the viewport. If I click on a sheet, or a viewport on a sheet, right click, I can hit activate view. Do this sparingly because notice how it doesn't gray out too much, but when you've activated that view and you're working in it, it keeps you in it, even if you close the project and all those things. So I've had people calling me in a state of panic for saying, I can't touch my title block, I can't get out of this sheet. And I say, oh yeah, it's because you need to make sure that you deactivate view. But when you're in this viewport, you can work in the model just as you would anywhere else. The crop region at the bottom of every view, they all have it. Crop region visibility, you can turn it off if it bugs you to see the crop region. When you're done, right click, hit deactivate view. The nice thing is you can also do You can also change that crop region visibility without having to go in. Select the viewport in a sheet, and really close to the bottom of the properties, there's a checkbox for crop region visibility. You can just uncheck that, and it should go away. And there it does. Okay, does HLB have a splashy cover title block? I mean, I know you're not doing a lot of printed output, but where you have like a fixture legend or anything like that? Nothing like that.
For drawings, no, we have a presentation sheet of
Okay.
images. I mean,
Okay.
project imagery.
Okay, got it. So that's not as common. Are you ever doing general notes or anything like that?
I could
Your
see us
user
doing that.
schedule.
But I mean, I think I've seen some of our designers who are more detail oriented doing elevations, details, and things where some of the notes are as simple as, electrical information be found on, electrical.
Oh, I
drawings,
see.
Things like that. So I
Yeah,
don't think it'd be.
details and elevations or notes.
Okay. Okay.
Still not regular.
Yeah, but not on regular drawings because we don't issue drawings outside of really DD. Otherwise, it's incorporated into electrical architecture.
Of course. Okay. Great. Great. Okay. That somewhat simplifies things, in that you're not having to. You don't need some of the same documentation tools, which is good. Let's hang on level 2 here because I think we're actually making some good progress on it. We're going to do a few different things. I've had a request for making your own ceilings. How do you change the grid? How do you change the grid sizes? Just in case you have to do it, or you may run into an architect that doesn't know how to necessarily change it. So we'll do those things. Can we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
Really fast?
I think that's good. It looks like, actually looking at our agenda, would this kind of bring us to the end of yesterday?
It
Is
does.
that what it looks like?
It does. I have 2 more things. You know what? Before we do a 5-minute break, let me just do 2 more quick things. We'll shoot for 10. The only reason I'd like to do some call-outs, because call-outs, and you do elevations, correct? You're doing interior elevations and things sometimes. Let's do those things, because in the spirit of cartooning, and if you were going to create a series of views before the work even starts.
Is cartooning putting
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Maybe I'm using an old term, back from the hand days.
No, I just got a matrix that's a cartooning matrix that lists all the sheets.
I think
It's still
it's
being used.
okay. Good.
I've never heard the term before, so.
It's a common one. Just I think it comes from the hand days when you sit there and you have to really worry about how long. Architectural budgets are often set up by how long it would take you to draw something. So it was actually by sheet. A lot of times they'd say, that elevation sheet's going to take 100 hours total. Yeah.
Not be employed.
I know. Right?
If it required hand drafting, I would not be. Just, yeah. Anyways.
Let's go to level 2. And my apologies. I this whole time I could have been facing the other direction sometimes too, and I've been always going one way. I guess it's not so good for the camera.
Yeah.
Let's say that we are going to do an enlarged lobby plan. For whatever reason, 8th does not work. Okay? Or maybe a bathroom, since we have all the coves in and everything. Off of your view tab,
Are you in a sheet?
I'm in back in a view. Back in a view. Okay. So you do something called a call out, and this is if you ever want to enlarge a certain area. Call out. It's like drawing a rectangle as well. Left click to drop it down. Let me just see what this elevation. I'll walk everyone through that. It created a view, and that created a little call-out view. One thing that's not showing up and should be, and you may sometimes see this with annotation to cycle through, is you actually have to tell it to show you the sheet and to have some of the annotation componentry come in with it. Go to the properties of that, hit edit type, and then this call-out tag. We have to click on that, and there's a drop-down. Call-out head needs to be called call-out head. With sheet reference is probably the right one. Automatically numbers it, yeah, which is nice. For this matter, there are some firms that do, instead of doing the scope boxes, they actually do big detail callouts of portions of the floor plan. And that's actually how they break up their plans instead of doing the scope boxes as we did. I think the scope boxes work a little bit better because it works on multiple floors. You'll go into the other floors of the building, you'll see the scope boxes are there. So it's very easy to create dependents quickly. Okay, so we have this enlarged view. We can right click on it, then we can go to that view. Look at that, it's a nice little manageable version of just that bathroom. This is how, when you see, if you have a specialty area that you want to do a lot of work on, do this. You can change the scale of it independently. So here, let's say we're going to quarter. Wonderfully, all of our annotation scales.
Can we, when you're in a call-out view,
Yeah.
can you tell what it's, is a call-out view referencing another, it's not like a dependent view,
It's not a dependent view.
right? So I can change the visibility settings.
You got it.
I can do whatever I want in
Yep.
this view, and it's dependent.
You got it. Great point.
Or
Yes.
independent.
It's, that's right. It's being independent. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's independent. And that's one of the hard things about those dependent views is that I've had catastrophic issues with that where people go and they start changing the scale of any one of those three views, and then it changes everything. So it's very, very hard. So yeah, dependency versus being independent, that's a great distinction. And so when you make a call out, even out of a dependent view, it's making an independent view all of its own. And in this, I'm just going to call this right click, rename it something that's sensible, enlarged plan.
It'll make changes in other places, but view settings for this view are just that view.
Okay. But if I add fixtures here, it's going to add fixtures to my open.
You got it. Let's actually just do that quickly.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see how we have like floor plans, ceiling plans, 3D views under our design views?
Yep.
What if I wanted to add another tree that is enlarged?
Okay. Let's actually do that. That enlarged plan that we just had done, it's a ceiling plan, but we're going to say, okay, this is an enlarged view. Select that view in the project browser. Go over to that field for usage in the properties bar where we define design documentation.
We just type in whatever we want it to be.
Exactly. Yeah, which is really, so nice for on the fly. You can quickly start to gather and change view types. You can make them whatever you need them to be. The other good thing about this, about that quick ability to categorize views, is if you get into some of these bigger files and you get just so many of them, I would encourage grouping as much as you possibly could. And I think someone mentioned this yesterday, whether you're using a number to help designate, a number designator to help organize them, that's a good point.
So we technically,
Oh, one thing, there's always that roving database that's sitting under Revit. which is the beautiful thing. So it's always going to, you can always add as many types of organizational names and parameters as you like, whatever you need to do to make it easy to navigate. You go to your View tab and then Call Out. Oh, you're already there. Okay, let's say we want to do an interior elevation. Certainly makes sense. Go to your View tab, hit Elevation, and we're going to click Elevation. There should be, yeah, I'm still in that enlarged plan. By default, it's going to, I guess, let's do an interior, why not? So it brings in this little elevation view. If you'd like to use a different symbol, that's fine. This is the one that ships with the architecture package by default. But it has the ability to do, in a room, all 4 interior elevations very quickly. You click on the box, and then there are little check boxes around it. So what happened there is, as I clicked each one of those check boxes, it actually created an interior elevation view for each portion. So I'm going to right-click on one of those triangular heads. And I see here, when I go to that view, it actually is, it's a full building section, which isn't correct. We really only want it to be on level 2.
What, is there a reason why it doesn't, when you're doing an elevation?
Yeah, it's frustrating. If you were actually in the architecture model, it reads the ceiling, and it reads the floor, and it knows.
I mean, because I would think of this as more as a section than
correct.
an
Yeah,
elevation.
exactly. And that's actually what you have to go back and change it to be that. So you have to actually enter that view, crop it back to what it needs to be.
Her computer is my oldest computer.
Oh, no. But it's crashing?
It's definitely the oldest computer. Well, besides that face.
Okay.
So
Well, you know
I'm
what?
just watching you.
Let's take that 5-minute break and wait for it to catch up. That make sense?
Yeah, that's fine. I was just following along.
Did everything make sense so far, like with the call out and the interior
At this point,
elevation?
I have to know
Um,
level.
I don't know how often you'll do these. I think they're
Like
probably
finishing with
useful to some of your designers, I would think.
Yeah,
Technically,
technically,
there's something that would be.
Depends.
well, like,
Depends
I'm looking at
sometimes.
your
But I mean, it's certainly nice
and you're looking at.
for you all to be able to study it from this standpoint. I mean, sure, you could just go ahead and cut a section as well. But if you need to study it from this standpoint, it's not a bad idea to have them set up. I will just place these quickly. Let's make a new sheet, and I'll just sheet, new sheet. We'll use that 30 by 42. Up here in the elevations, if I want to make a sheet composed of all of these recent little pieces that we've done, I like to try to string these together. That's all you do. You just would drag these onto the sheet. From that point, this is interesting. Look at the annotation. It's already filling in on where it resides in the set, which is very, very nice. Look at my sheets too. They were not, they too, just like a view, need to be told what their type is. In this case, they're going to be documentation. And their names are a little strange. It's not an SK. Nice thing is that you can do Double click on the sheet number, and you can change it right here. LT104. Name, or in the project browser, you can right click and rename it there. That's really the workflow, as you slowly would be getting things on the sheets and taking a look at what you would need to be working on. Just for the fun of it, here in the enlarged plan, let's place a few fixtures. Go to my Home tab, Lighting Fixture. All of these hosted fixtures will work properly. We won't have any trouble from here forward. Oh, find a troffer. Now, as we're placing fixtures, I don't know if you're going to be playing with this on your break, make sure that you look up in the ribbon. The nice thing about the hosted fixtures is that we don't have to go in there and make reference planes or levels. And I have an update. It's information I found in the 2012 version. If you use a hosted fixture in Revit MEP and the architect deletes the ceiling, your fixtures no longer delete. So, what is nice about that? I was reading this in a README file, or in a white paper file, is that no longer do you have to worry about that. MEP engineers for the longest time were complaining if an architect deletes a wall or something like that, their work is lost. And we too were saying that yesterday. And it doesn't, it's not the case any longer in this version. So you can feel safe using the hosted fixtures. You may want additional control of using the reference planes and the levels, especially if there's no ceiling in a project. You have to do it that way. If the ceilings are there, you can utilize those as the work plane that it works on. Okay? So in this case, make sure you just hit place on face. Work plane. Not letting you do face. No! Come on.
Also, for other folks, in terms of placing light fixtures, there's a keyboard command, LF,
Oh, yeah.
instead
Did-
of going up to the light fixture stuff. Exactly. You got it. Self-explanatory. What we're we'll see so far. It's really not.
What's that?
The image,
Yes. So that is one issue with the face hosting, because Revit's not, Revit MEP is not looking to actually cut a hole in the object. It's just looking for a face. It can be reversed. So, and that's one of the issues I'm looking at right now with this particular fixture I just brought in, is that instead of, it was actually reversed, and I'll show you. Look, it came in on the floor, okay? Because it was looking for a horizontal face. And this is one thing we need to play with. We're we're seeing the ceilings well. We need to take a look at why this is happening. But the fixture should conceivably place, and there's that documentation. Sometimes interior elevations, you don't want them on your enlarged plan, so you can right-click, hide in view elements. And it hides all of those. We'll do hide in view category. We'll hide all of those interior elevations in that plan.
How come we're not able to place?
Yeah, I'm curious about that one as well. The place on face. Yeah, it's not finding the horizontal face. Finds the vertical face. We may not be looking deeply enough into the project, although this isn't very tall. We're seeing it. So let's take just a quick break. We'll see if we can play with the view range of this, maybe see why it's not selecting that object. Sound good?
Yeah.
Might grab a cup of coffee quickly.